Hello, slow parenting family from across the globe. Welcome to another exciting episode of Slow Parenting live streaming podcast on Nostalgia Media. My name is Richie Adewusi. Thank you. We are late again today. There seems to be some kind of disconnect uh, with between our live streaming team and the studio. Okay, so sorry about that. We're here, and today we're continuing with our package on the engendering family bonding program. Um, we're discussing another very important component of that package, which is a PIPE Global. PIPE standing for Participatory Interactive Peer Education. This is the, well, if you like, hybrid community that your children and young people would leverage their mentorship support from as you, as their parents, enroll to go through the engendering family bonding program. Remember last episode, we looked at the COPANET, which is a concerned parents network, which is where the hybrid community from which you as parents will leverage your own mentorship and counseling support from, while the children will be trained through your children. Okay, this is to balance the homework, balance the learning. We train the parents through the 1 day or 3 days training program designed for this engendering family bonding program through the PTAs in participating primary and secondary schools. And then their children, the children of the trained parents, would also be trained as peer educators, and then they would be enrolled into PIPE Global. That is the hybrid mentorship support program for children and young people whose parents are participating in this program. So in that sense, we have designed a rounded program that is designed, not supposed to, that is designed to benefit the family in the first place, and then of course, by extension, the society at large, because we believe that when we have rounded children brought up by intentional parents, okay, leveraging on their values, culture, and tradition, and the legal statutes of the societies in which they live, the world will be a better place, starting from the family. So this program is not just for individual parents or just for parents alone or their children alone. Ultimately, for instance, today in the PIPE Global, talk about the PIPE Global, when we train the children as peer educators, they wouldn't have been educated just for themselves alone or for their school environment alone. They go home. They have friends in the community. They have friends in the religious institutions that they are part of. So they also become change agents within their communities outside of their homes. So, and this is not new, meaning we are not new about this. PIPE has been on the last inaugurated PIPE club in Nigeria. You will see the pictures as we play you the video for this. Is that we've decided to take it global, and then technology has made it even a whole lot more, you know, interesting, you know, so that we can reach out to more young people, more children, respond to their needs on time, real time, using available technologies, even outside of their parents. Of course, for them to be in the program, they already have parental consent. That's the whole idea. For them to be involved in PIPE Global, they get enlisted by way of their parents being part of the program, so that we are talking about balanced families who are intentional about bonding and personal and family development. Okay, so hang tight. PIPE. We've said here that PIPE stands for the Participatory Interactive Peer Education model for peer education. Peer education is not new. But by the time we designed PIPE, this is actually um, over 20 years ago, yes, that we designed PIPE. It was to respond to traditional peer education model that were very, for want of a better way to put it, difficult to measure. Okay, you train traditional peer educators, and then after the training, they go off within their target populations for whom they have been trained. And then maybe you even give them some instructional materials to use in their advocacy and their education, and they come back and tell you we have, there might actually be data capturing uh, tools that you give them to record how many people that they reached, how many materials they distributed and all of that. And from experience, this is a field that I have operated in almost 40 years of my media and communication working. And we discovered that in some cases, the material just get dumped somewhere and they play around and come back and fill the data capturing documents you've given them. Okay, well, yeah, you use those documents for other program-related analysis and all of that. And of course, there will always be problems because you don't have verifiable data and evidence, which would improve programs and improve, other maybe interventions targeted at young people for different reasons. So it became imperative to look at a model that would not only train properly, but also mobilize and then monitor monitor the programs properly. So the PIPE model is designed for measurability. How? Participating children and young people are then acquired and then put them through the training program themselves. And we use for this program what we call the narrowcast model in terms of media material dissemination in the training. We designed this program at a time that video and television had become, if you like, the mid pastime of young people. So traditional sit down, talk, lecture, and they go away, don't cut it. So I designed using established broadcast, if you like, narrowcast is reverse. Broadcast, you transmit material from one location to several receivers outside of that location. Materials that have been produced for in the first place, where they will normally meet in their convenient, in their schools, in the marketplace, in the churches, in mosques, in village squares, in community centers, and use available technology. At that time, even till now, well, we started by using video recorders, video cassette recorders and players, and then went to CDs, compact disc players with television screens. Television screens, yes, you had me right. We carried television screens about, and then position such television screens in vantage position where the trained peer educators would be there because they would have gone through the materials developed, developed discussion starters from the material, which they would use to facilitate the viewing sessions from the television within whatever setting cohorts that they are trained to educate, be it out of school youth in the communities, religious centers, marketplaces, or in-school youths in classrooms or during sporting programs. And then, of course, we went on from there as technology improved or evolved to using multimedia systems, laptops and projectors and all of that. So we stopped carrying television units all over the place. So we would be multimedia projectors and screens, same training formats. And then when this of measurability, of course, in a viewing session, physically you can see all the sessions are recorded, video recorded, I mean. So you could see the number of youths in that, particular viewing session. You will hear who said what. You get to hear the responses that are given. And then the trained peer educators would meet after each, just like they would have met before each viewing session to develop discussion starters, from the material they would have viewed. They would now meet again after the viewing sessions to review what has been said or the responses the feedback that have been given to their peers, and then write their reports. And then submit such reports to include the video recording for the session. When it comes to the issue of distributing whatever kind of materials, whether consumables or, instructional materials, you will see in the videos things being handed, not tracts or media materials or instructional materials being thrown to an audience in a marketplace or in a village square. No, you will observe to see that materials are handed over individually. And in most cases, names are taken voluntarily, not by force, it's not compulsory. Voluntarily, they have tools to capture the data for the people that they are given materials to. What's your name, what's your age, voluntarily. If the person doesn't want to, it's not important, but the video would have captured that individual would have, so it's worked because first it's the narrowcast model, the pipe model narrowcast, mentioning the narrowcast concept, worked on something that young people have become, fond of: television, movies, storytelling. Okay, so it's not somebody walking up to you and say, "Look, I want to tell you about something. See, if you do this, this is going to happen." No. We'll produce media materials targeting that particular discussion or those discussion issues. And the trained peer educators have specific viewing time in the same location every viewing session. So we went a step further. In the environment in which we applied this during the pilot stage and even during the scale-up stages, before we now, rolled out in Nigeria then, the viewing times in all the schools were coordinated. They were at the same time. So it was like you are having a television program, everybody is on TV, So we got to arrange for club meetings, pipe club meetings, to happen the same time on the same days every week in all the places where they were meeting. And it worked. It was helpful. Although on some special occasions or for special reasons, some schools, some environments couldn't meet at those same time, but those were the exceptions, but not the general rule. Okay, so that is what we mean when by saying that pipe pair model is designed for measurability. Okay, and then it also leverages on another educational concept called, known as edutainment, entertainment education. We're educating, but they're entertaining at the same time. They're watching a movie, but that movie is specifically designed for its educational content. It doesn't stop there. The trained peer educators now ask questions using the discussion starter they've asked and give the viewing participants, their peers, the opportunity to respond to. And it was always, hearty conversations, laughter, arguments, and all of that. And in measuring for behavioral, outcomes, it's not only count. We need to see how people looked when they responded to certain, how embarrassed, how excited, how serious they were. All of those could be, read from the reports, which included video evidence of the sessions. Okay, so this is what this program, what we brought to be part of this program. So it's wrapped up. The Engendering Family Bonding Program is a program I'm very proud of. I feel very comfortable with. I feel very happy also for the reception it's receiving, across different countries. Some have set out to roll out. Some are still in discussion stages to see how they can get this started. But one thing is agreed on. Wow, this is a wonderful program. Not me praising myself, not us praising ourselves, but there are things that it's comments and feedbacks we've gotten from different geographical locations across the globe that have had the opportunities to understand what this is all about, which is why we brought it as part of live streaming as our podcast on the Slow Parenting program. Those are all the components of the programming we set out to bring to you from day one. Okay? But if we started this live stream, started the Slow Parenting podcast, this is like 2 years ago, over 2 years ago. This is, by the way, this is the last episode of season 8. This is episode 13 of season 8. The next time you see us, we'll be talking about season 9, episode 1. And before I get too ahead of myself, I need to show appreciation here. Okay, I need to show appreciations, not appreciation, because this one now is multiple. I need to show appreciation here. Not too long ago, we made a video thanking our subscribers, thanking you that have subscribed to this program, to the members of this community for helping us get over the 100 subscriber base. Today, this episode, I'm excited, I'm delighted to announce and thank all of you that have subscribed to push us over the 1,000 subscriber base. Thank you so very much. And as a way of appreciation, we have a little video we also produced to thank you. So let me just keep quiet, okay? And then thank the guys on TikTok. They will not see the video now unless they go to the YouTube channel. So I'll shut up on YouTube and then let the video play. Thank you so much. Thank you, guys. We appreciate you all. Thank you. Hello, my name is Richie Adewusi. I want to thank every single one of you, the 100 of you that subscribe so far to support us in our program, the Slow Parenting Podcast on Nostalgia Media through our YouTube channel. Thank you so very much for supporting us, for encouraging us. It becomes very important to, put this on record, say thank you to practice. Thank you so much, guys, for helping us to attain that milestone. We are grateful. Okay. Excuse me. Hello, my name is Richie Adewusi. I want to thank every single one of you, the 100 of you that subscribe so far to support us in our program, the Slow Parenting Podcast on Nostalgia Media through our YouTube channel. Thank you so very much for supporting us, for encouraging us. You know, it becomes very important to, well, put this on record, say thank you, to practice what we preach. More so, since I received just about a few days before we crossed the 100 subscriber. Thank you, guys. I'm so sorry I had a choking fit there. I'm okay now. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you, Osisi Emeka David. Thank you for joining. Thank you, Sonia, for joining on TikTok. Thank you, guys. I'm grateful. So we want to thank all of you that have subscribed so far. If you haven't subscribed, no, we are headed. Our next destination is a 5,000 milestone. Okay, we know we'll get there with your support, with your help. This is a work in progress. The community is just getting, started. So thank you for subscribing, and thank you for those of you who will decide to subscribe at this time. Okay, so we are talking PIPE, the Participatory Interactive Peer Education. Yes, so PIPE is for every young person, every child, really. Okay, whether you're in school or out of school. And originally, or rather, originally, yes, intention was, okay, parents could enlist through PTAs. Okay, you have PTAs in kindergarten schools, you have PTAs in nursery primary school, you have PTAs in secondary schools. Yes. So I'll tell you, yes, we've done some, we've designed some, it's perfect. But then something happened. A friend looked at the program one day and called me and said, Richie, come. All my children, none of them is in secondary school anymore. They're in university. So are you saying that parents like us cannot benefit from this your program? I'm like, wait a minute, that's true. All right. So it made it necessary that we designed another route through which parents can register to become members of CopperNet, which will qualify their children and young people to become part of PIPE. So we designed the universal, if you like, webinars, okay, that are designed to start as quarterly programs. The same engendering family bonding program, but then individual parents, regardless of school, regardless of ages of their children, could register to attend the webinars. Okay, because in the data capturing tools for registrants or participants, of course, there will be spaces there for prospective participants to indicate the number, names, and ages, and maybe educational levels of their children, which will help us to also mainstream the children of such, or enroll children of such parents into the appropriate cadres in PIPE Global. Okay, so don't worry. It's just that right now, I think the earliest of the webinars is at the end of June, which is not too far away. Okay, so we're planning the very first webinar to be at the end of June. there are some, if you like, statutory technicalities that have been delaying even our promoting that webinar. So we're still hopeful that it will take place by the end of June. If not, we will still go into consultations to see when there are other individuals involved. For instance, we have reached out to the person we had identified as the keynote speaker and had accepted. But because of the statutory challenges that we have, we've not finalized that engagement, and we are hoping to do so in the next few weeks and to see if we could go on with June or pick another date. But the point is there's an entry point, there's a process through which parents who do not have children in primary or secondary schools could become part of Pipe Global, and their children and young people, young persons become part of their parents could become part of Corporate Global, and their children and young persons become part of Pipe Global. So what are they going to be doing? What are they going to be doing at Pipe Global? They'll go through trainings, they will be inaugurated, and then they will hold weekly meetings, those viewing sessions I just described at the top of the program. There will be specific, educational materials on specific issue areas, from bullying to eating habits to table manners to whatever specific issues that young people pick up as the things they want to discuss. And of course, the other interesting thing about it is we are going to take them through storytelling to be able to write their own stories, produce some of these programs themselves. So they actually would engage not just in some peer, they would be gainfully engaged in media materials production, including telling their own stories as in producing books. Okay, in partnership with our sister company, Nostalgia Media Books. The target is that for every cycle, meaning every year, we have at least 25% of the Pipe Club members in any environment in which that club exists to have written and published their stories. Yes. Through which they can make some, if you like, incomes, but most importantly, they would have done something that they can display and show to the world, which would impact on their life in so many different ways, not just making money and all of that. They're in school, but they have a book out there. They have their stories out there. And then they motivate them to think differently, to behave differently, okay? To aspire to doing things that people think is only when you get to certain ages that you could start thinking about those things, okay? So at the end of the day, we would have trained and mentored children who would be in mutual communication relationship with their parents when they go home. Their parents won't be on a different page on some, psychosocial issues, and the children are on a different page. On your screen, you'll be seeing a picture, a photograph of one of the Pipe Club, communities that we inaugurated in Nigeria in a school called Atlantic Hall, in a place called Boka in Epe in Lagos State, Southwest Nigeria. Okay, so at this point, I'm going to pause to play you the video for this episode of the program. When we return, we go into look at contribution from community members, and then other issues, parenting issues that people would have sent in comments about. So don't go away. Please stay and enjoy the video.
Pipe Global, the participatory interactive peer education community. is a structured, sustainable mentorship, personal development, and storytelling peer education hybrid community for children and young people, developed by the Universal Parenting Institute, founded by Dr. Richie Adewusi. Here is what you need to know about Pipe Global. 1. What Pipe Global is. Pipe Global supports the holistic growth of children and young people through safe, measurable, participatory, interactive peer education and mentorship relationships, value-based guidance, communication development, and creative expressions, bringing together trained and experienced adult mentors, peer mentors, educators, and professional counselors. 2. Who it is for. Pipe Global is for children and young people who need structure, guidance, and a supportive environment to grow, with the aim of building confidence and discipline, as well as navigating academic or behavioral challenges, creative gifts in writing, storytelling, and communication. 3. How the mentorship works. Pipe Global Mentorship operates at 3 levels. Core adult mentors providing foundational guidance and life skills training, peer mentors modeling leadership and supporting their peers, and professional guest mentors running skill-based workshops and career sessions, as well as one-on-one sessions in person or virtually, or hybrid. Together, these 3 levels ensure that no child or young person journeys through Pipe Global without consistent, trusted adult presence and measurable peer support. 4. Core activities. These include weekly group meetings, value-based discussions, creative writing sessions, communication building exercises, skills building workshops, and virtual parent engagement sessions, all designed to strengthen character and improve family relationships. 5. The 25% Story Initiative. In partnership with Nostalgia Media Books, we target at least 25% of Pipe Global members to be mentored to publish their personal stories, building confidence, voice, and lasting identity in each child and young person involved in the community. This is one of the most powerful and unique features of the entire program. 6. How to join. Children and young people can join through their parents' enrollment via their school's parents-teachers associations via the Engendering Family Bonding Program, community referrals, or direct parental registration via our webinars. Pipe Global is ultimately about raising the next generation with intention, giving every child and young person a safe space to be heard, guided, and prepared for life. For more information, please reach out to us via email at tpadmin@gmail.com or tpinformation@gmail.com. Thank you for watching. If this video is helpful, please like, share, and leave your thoughts in the comments. Please share with other parents who may benefit, and stay connected with the #SlowParenting podcast community. Please subscribe and turn on notifications to stay updated on all episodes in this series.
Thank you so very much. Welcome back. I hope you find some interesting and useful information from that video. It's available. You could always download it. You could view it again anytime. You could send it across to anyone that you feel would benefit from it. So at this time, we're going to look at some contributions, comments, questions from community members. The first one I have here, it says, you claim, you claim pipe is measurable. That's heavy. Show me the single metric you track that could force you to shut down the program if it trended negatively for consecutive quarters. By trending negatively, well, anything could cause any material to trend negatively. But if trending negatively is the outcome, that this community member is focused on. I'm more interested in sharing with you again the measurable components of this peer education model. First of all, I wouldn't know what would trend negatively that you have trained young people, trained children and young people, um, with parental consent to participate in the program because their parents would have enrolled the program in the first place to qualify their children to become members of PIPE in the first place. And then they would have been trained as peer educators following uh, frameworks, established standard frameworks that are in use in all of the environments where this program is to be implemented. There's no, this is how we want to do it here. No, there are standards we have set. We have all the training modules are the same. The mentorship framework for both CopperNet and PIPE, the same for everywhere. Our mentors, facilitators, and counselors go through facilitation meetings, counseling meetings, mentoring meetings with us before we engage them. We vet them. Okay, they have to, meet and agree to our standards, that are predicated on some cultures, some standard, universally acceptable rights and privileges surrounding children, surrounding communication, surrounding engagement, surrounding different kinds of freedoms. And then the young people themselves would meet in recorded environments for their weekly meetings, okay? And then even when it comes to the issue of matching them, we won't match any young person to a mentor, a counselor that we've not vetted. We don't know the background of that individual, okay? So I am not sure of where the negative trending would come from. However, if any negativity comes, we'll investigate it and we'll respond accordingly. So I'm not saying that everything in life, there could be some downsides, but we've not designed this one for any downside. But if any eventualities happen along the way, we'll investigate and we'll respond accordingly. Okay, thank you. Do you have any training that prepares peer mentors to handle a peer who discloses serious issues like suicidal urges? Yes. Okay. Yes. Not just, well, when you say peer mentors, we're not talking about mentors, peer mentors in this case, whether peer mentors of children or young people, or peer mentors of fathers or mothers in corporate. We say that all conversations remain private and confidential, except those that carry issues of threat to life. Either threat to the life of the individual who is involved in that mentorship relationship, or some other individuals that individual would have mentioned in a relationship. Either a husband say, look, my wife beats me, or the wife says, my husband beats me. You see this mark here, just give it to me. Wow. Okay. In agreement with that individual, after the following due protocol, the mentor, the counselor would have followed due protocols to calm the person down and let the person know that appropriate authorities will need to be, informed about what is going on, so that it doesn't result into loss of life. Now, in the case of young people, PIPE now, it's the same thing. A child who is reporting bullying, and then the mentor, the counselor goes into, what happened, he describes, and then there is beating involved, there is some hospitalizations involved, and, which end up in bodily harm and all of that. Outside of bodily harm, emotional harm sometimes can become a more deadly, outcome that could get the individual being bullied to become dangerous himself or herself in terms of the kind of retaliatory, plans he will be having, which at some point it might disclose to the counselor. In that case, appropriate authorities, including the parents of the young persons involved, would have to be involved. So all of those are part of this, but outside of those, any other things become really confidential. To have discussions with a third party would only be by, in agreement with the concerned counselee or mentee. Okay, but in all cases, all protocols that govern counseling and mentoring will be applied. Okay, confidentiality is very important, except for when there are issues of threat to life. Then you can't keep it. You can't keep, because again, the mentor or the counselor will be in danger, will be liable in case something happens, which he or she, had the information about, and he didn't make appropriate plans and take appropriate steps to get other appropriate individuals and agencies involved to prevent loss of life and bodily harm. Okay. Another person here says, how do you prevent a core adult mentor from subtly favoring children whose stories are selected for the 25% story initiative? Core adult mentor from subtly favoring children whose... Well, the point here is the mentorship program is in layers. Okay, the mentorship program is in layers. Even this particular storytelling initiative that will result in having stories published, the criteria is not set by the mentors. The criteria for selecting, successful stories, okay, it's not set by the mentor. They're only just going to follow guidelines. So when they submit, of course, all the stories will be submitted, okay? But in submitting the story, they also submit those that they would be, recommending using the set guidelines. And then, of course, it will be vetted again by a group outside of that institution, outside of that group. And then ultimately, we're vetted by the publishing company itself. So don't worry. Everything is with blindfold. It's about the quality of the story. It wouldn't be about the name of the person of the story. Okay. The quality of the story would now exhibit the name of the person who wrote the story. Okay. That is the goal. What is your protocol for a child who develops an innocent romantic attachment to a core adult mentor? The core adult mentor in the first place is not a professional. So we rely on the professionalism of our mentors, our counselors, and our facilitators, okay, to present themselves in professional ways throughout the mentorship and counseling processes. Globally, it's not only in this program, things happen, but when things happen too, we expect the adult mentors to take the appropriate measures to discourage any untoward, advances or comments or behaviors, which ultimately we advise, for such, for any untoward, not even just romantic, even rude aggressions, rudeness, aggression, and all of that to be reported in the reporting protocol for all of the mentors and counselors. Okay, and we first, of course, these children are not there by themselves. Remember, they got enrolled through their parents who had become members of Pipe Global through the training from the Engendering Family Program. Okay, so the parents are still there for the program, not the mentors, not the counselors. The program would get back with the reports from the mentors. Now, when there's no report, then there's some kind of unprofessional consents, which we wouldn't support, which would, attract the applicable consequences or penalties when such come to our notice. Okay. So the protocols are there, reports, any untoward, we'll read the reports. The mentors, the counselors have reporting protocols that the supervisors will go through from time to time. And then if there are any issues, they will be addressed, accordingly. Okay. How do you measure a child's progress in something as intangible as creativity? Creativity is not intangible. I'm sorry, I'm a creative. I'm a writer. So you can measure my creativity at least by the reason of number of the books I have written to start with, and then the quality of the narratives in the books. So creativity is not intangible. I'm sorry. It's very tangible. So if your creativity, I'm a creative, and it's only in your head, then sorry, you are not one. You do not claim to be something you cannot show concrete, okay? All of us can write. Every single human being can write. Every single human being has stories in his or her head. But you don't become a writer and author until you bring those stories out of your head into your tablet or your mobile phone or your laptop or your desktop. Yeah. I was sharing with my team members. My last 3 books, I wrote them unconventionally from my mobile phone using WhatsApp. On WhatsApp, I wrote a almost 800 page book that was published in 2 volumes on WhatsApp. Not even using Word, WhatsApp. Okay? You need to, so the issue of no, I don't have time, I don't know. Well, those are the things we take them through. Those are the things that are in the training that they will get. Those are the things in the mentorship that they will get. Okay, we're not talking about, telling children or young people abstract things. You are talking about people who have accomplished things, telling you this is how I did it, and this is how you can get it done. And then why didn't we say 50%? Oh, it's going to be a very rare group. So for you to be in that 25%, wow, yes. So, and it will make it, this is how you will do this, and you do it. As I speak with you, we have mentorship programs going on with young people who have, signified their intentions. They want to be writers, they want to be editors. We have that mentorship program going on through a group that we call the Nostalgia Media Writers Forum. They're not paying anything. It's free, okay? But because we're interested in encouraging the next generation of Shakespeare, Soyinka, Chinua Achebe, Arthur Miller's, okay? James Joyce's. We are interested in finding those people. And you don't find them if you don't give them vent. You give them opportunities to express themselves, okay? So, measuring that creativity is helping that child bring that aspect of his or her creativity out in concrete terms, in this wise, in written forms. So those are going to be all the processes that are going to go through the mentorship. Tell your story, write it. I have problems in writing. Maybe you can talk. You can talk, right? Activate the recording device on your mobile phone. Tell your mobile phone the story, then submit it. Then when you've done that, your mentors will take you through how to take that your recorded message to put it in right. There's technologies available to do that these days. Those days you have to listen to the tape, you're writing it out word for word, but today you have applications that, so every which way you bring that creativity, that intangible, that thing you have described as intangible, we make it tangible. Okay? How do you design the how do you design the PIE global chat group so that younger children do not feel left out and insignificant compared to the older one and louder children? There will be subgroups. There are subgroups. Even the PIE Global has PIE Global Writers Forum. And all of the Writers Forum members would also be divided into cohorts by age. And if the mentors working with them see that, yes, this person is 6 years old, but his reasoning is like he's 12 years old, his writing is behind, we'll move that child to a group that responds, to that child's creative capacities. It happens in other areas. We've had reports about children who become professors as teenagers. So we find exceptionally gifted children in certain groups. We move them to certain other groups, but we will not fast track any child that needs to grow organically in some other, life issue areas, either because you are bigger or you are smaller. So many, indicators will be applied in determining where children and young people remain to share. The whole idea is to, mentor children and young people to develop at their own paces, not comparing them with anybody else, not measuring them against anybody else. So they will move forward at their own paces in the cohorts in which, they feel comfortable, okay? Sorry again. Okay. Luckily, we have our very last contribution here. Sorry, my voice. Okay, I'm feeling a bit choked. So let us answer this query from TikTok so that it don't lock us out. Okay, this one says, how do you decide when a child needs clinical intervention that PIE cannot provide? How do you make that handoff? The mentors and mentees, okay? By the way, the hybrid communities we have set up and still continue to set up by, enlisting a variety of professionals, includes everybody, including those professionals that you send there. So within the group, if there's, you say clinical intervention, even when it comes to the issue of clinical intervention, you have professionals within the group who are capable of providing those clinical services. Then we refer the child or the family to that. And that professional is now in a position, because that's his or her fault, is now in a position to say, okay, I'm referring this family to so institution. But it will be by recommendation of a qualified professional who's a member of the group. So in the mentorship and counseling group of both Copanet and PIE Global, you have psychiatrists, you have psychologists, you have pediatricians, you have dietitians. You have all sorts of professionals to address different aspects of livelihood and lifestyles and well-being. Okay? So it's an all-round group. Yes, I'm not a financial expert, but we have financial experts in the group. I'm not a dietitian. We have dietitians in the group. I'm not a psychologist. Yes, I have done some courses in psychology, but I've not trained as a psychologist. But I have worked using psychology that are inherent in the programs I have, qualified in and all of that. But I am not a core psychologist. So we have psychologists in the group that would, reach out to say, okay, we have this issue. Please, can you take on this person? That is one thing we have done with this, hybrid mentorship groups. We have all sorts, different kinds of professionals and experienced individuals in the group. Okay, we have grandmothers, we have great grandmothers that might not have gone to college to be professors, but they understand parenting. So when there are certain issues, we know who to send, match some families with. And the young people themselves, some of their trained peers would have attained certain levels of comportment that you are saying, okay, don't worry, I know who will just help you with this. And it might not be an adult, it might just be another peer. But that we know, we've evaluated over time that said this person has this experience, it is in a better position to help this young person as well. Okay, so we are not claiming to know everything, to do everything. No. What we've done is to pull together, in a bouquet, if you like, or in these two communities, Coppernet Global, Pipe Global, experienced individuals and professionals that can help individuals and families in different issue areas of parenting and personal growth and development of individuals who are enrolled in our community. So I want to thank you so very much for being part of our show today. For me, explaining these components of the program is exciting for me because in developing them over the years and working with them in learned a lot, from different individuals, from my own stories, from my own families, from other families. So we're here to share and bring others who also learned a lot to share with other families. So thank you very much. And I want to say we will see you in season 9, same time, 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, US and Canada. And yes, it is 7 p.m. West African time, including Nigeria, on the Slow Parenting podcast and live stream, and Parenting for All season on TikTok. See you again then. My name is Richie Adewusi. Bye-bye.